Captain Jinsu was not a man who scared easily. After 15 years fighting across 3 star systems, he had seen things that would make most soldiers wake up screaming. But right now, standing at the back of the briefing room, a chill ran down his spine. Something was wrong, very wrong. Jin scanned the room again. 30 elite soldiers sat in perfect rows, backs straight, eyes forward. Not a single whisper passed between them. No one shifted in their seats. No one coughed. No one even seemed to blink. This wasn't normal. These were human soldiers, the best humanity had to offer, and humans were never this quiet. Before any mission, especially one as dangerous as this, the room should have buzzed with nervous energy. June would be cracking jokes about alien anatomy. Tae would be arguing with anyone who would listen about the best entry points. Min would be quietly checking his weapons, his lips moving in what everyone pretended not to notice was a prayer. But today, nothing. Just silence. Jin caught Lieutenant Hana Park's eye from across the room. She had been with him for 7 years, through the worst of the Centauri conflict. She gave him a small nod, eyebrow slightly raised. Good. She felt it too. Admiral. Kim walked to the front of the room, his metals clinking softly in the silence. He cleared his throat, though he hardly needed to. Operation Starfall begins at 0600 tomorrow, the Admiral said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. Your mission is simple but vital. Infiltrate the Zelnar orbital station, secure intelligence on their new weapon system, and extract without detection. Jin watched the soldiers. Normally, at this point, hands would rise. Questions would be asked. Someone, usually June, would make a comment about how nothing was ever as simple as the brass made it sound. Instead, the soldiers nodded in perfect unison. Their faces showed no fear, no excitement, no anything. Just blank acceptance. The Admiral continued, bringing up a hologram of the Zelnar station. It rotated slowly in the air, highlighting potential entry points, patrol routes, and security measures. The station's outer ring has minimal security, but is heavily monitored by motion sensors. The intersections house their research facilities, which are guarded by elite Zelnar troops. Still no questions. No murmurs about the number of guards or the placement of sensors. Jin felt his stomach tighten. The Admiral detailed the mission for another 20 minutes. The dropship would approach from the dark side of the nearby moon. They would use specialized suits to cross the 2 kilometers of space between the landing zone and the station. Entry would be through a maintenance hatch on the lower level. From there, they would make their way to the central data core, and through it all, the soldiers just sat there, taking it in, accepting every word without challenge. When the Admiral finished, he looked almost confused by the lack of questions. Well, if there are no questions, you're dismissed. Rest up. Tomorrow will be challenging. The soldiers stood up as one and filed out of the room in an orderly line. No pushing, no joking, no complaining about missing dinner for a stupid briefing. Jin waited until they were gone, then approached Hana, who was pretending to review something on her tablet. My office. 5 minutes, he murmured as he passed her. Inside his small office, Jin paced the short distance from wall to wall. The room barely fit his desk and 2 chairs, but it was private. When Hana knocked and entered, he didn't bother with greetings. Something's wrong with them, he said. Hana nodded, her usual calm expression tight with worry. I've never seen them like this. It's like they're not themselves. When's the last time you saw June sit through a briefing without making at least one inappropriate joke? Jin asked. Never, Hana replied. And Tae didn't argue about a single tactical decision. He always argues. Jin pulled up the mission roster. On his desk screen, 30 names glowed back at him. All veteran soldiers. All people he trusted with his life. When did this start? He asked. When did they start acting strange? Hana thought for a moment. I'm not sure. I had breakfast with Min 2 days ago. He seemed normal then, worried about his sister's new baby back on Earth. Jin nodded. And yesterday I played cards with June and some of the others. They were their usual annoying selves. He frowned. So, something happened in the last 24 hours. The medical checks, Hannah said suddenly. Everyone had to go through medical yesterday for pre-mission evaluation. Jin's eyes narrowed. Who ordered those checks? That's not standard procedure. Hannah was already accessing the ship's records on her tablet. Dr. Li Ju, she said after a moment. He's new. Transferred to the ship last month when Dr. Park retired. I want to see those medical records, Jin said. That's against regulations, Hannah replied automatically, then smiled slightly. I'll have them in 5 minutes. While Hannah worked, Jin pulled up Dr. Li's personnel file. Everything looked in order. Graduated top of his class from Seoul Medical Academy. Distinguished service during the Mars colony crisis. Specialty in combat medicine and neurology. Got it, Hannah said. Her face had gone pale. Jin, look at this. She handed him her tablet. Each soldier's medical record showed the same entry. Administered standard pre-mission cognitive enhancement serum as per Command Protocol 15X. There is no Command Protocol 15X, Jin said. He had memorized all standard protocols years ago. Exactly, Hannah replied. And look at this. She scrolled down to show brain scans for several soldiers. Jin wasn't a doctor, but even he could see that something was different about the post-treatment scans. Certain areas glowed brighter than they should. We need to talk to Dr. Li, Jin said. And say what? Excuse me, doctor, but did you mind control our entire assault team? Hannah asked. Jin stood up. We have 12 hours until the mission launches. Whatever's happening, we need to figure it out before then. The Admiral, Hannah started. No, Jin cut her off. We don't know how far this goes. If Dr. Li did something to our soldiers, he might not be working alone. Hannah nodded, her training taking over. So we investigate quietly. I'll talk to Dr. Li, try to get a sense of what he's up to, Jin said. You check the security footage around the medical bay. See who he's been meeting with. What about the soldiers? Hannah asked. Jin looked troubled. We can't approach them directly, not until we know what we're dealing with. If they've been compromised somehow, alerting them might trigger something worse. Hannah stood, her face set with determination. 12 hours to solve this. 12 hours, Jin agreed. As Hannah turned to leave, Jin added, And Hannah, be careful. If we're right about this. She gave him a grim smile. Then we're the only ones who noticed the red flag. After she left, Jin stared at the medical records again. 30 soldiers. 30 good men and women who trusted their commanders, who trusted the ship's doctor. Something had been done to them, and Jin was going to find out what before they launched into what might very well be a trap. He checked his sidearm, making sure it was loaded. Then he headed toward the medical bay to have a friendly chat with the ship's newest doctor. The first red flag had been the silence. Jin wouldn't miss any others. The medical bay doors slid open with a soft hiss. Jin stepped inside, keeping his face neutral despite the tension in his chest. The room was bright and clean, smelling of antiseptic and metal. Dr. Li stood at a workstation, his back to the door. He was tall and thin with neatly combed black hair. When he turned, his smile was perfect, too perfect. Captain Jin, he said. What brings you here? The mission doesn't launch for another 11 hours. Are you having trouble sleeping? Jin forced a smile. Just a routine check, Doctor. I like to make sure everything's in order before a big mission. Dr. Li nodded, still smiling that too perfect smile. Very thorough of you, Captain. I admire that. Jin walked casually around the medical bay, noting the layout. 3 examination tables, storage cabinets along the wall, a small lab area in the back corner. I was looking over the pre-mission medical reports, Jin said, watching Dr. Li's reaction, carefully. Interesting protocol you used. Cognitive enhancement, was it? If Dr. Li was worried about the question, he didn't show it. Yes. Command Protocol 15X. It's relatively new, but the results are impressive. The soldiers will have improved focus, better reaction times. I'm not familiar with that protocol, Jin said. Dr. Lee turned back to his workstation. It comes directly from Central Command. I'm surprised they didn't brief you. Jin moved closer, glancing at what the doctor was working on. It looked like more brain scans, but he quickly switched screens. Mind if I see the serum you used? Jin asked. Dr. Lee's smile flickered for just a moment. I'm afraid I used the last of it on your team. More is being synthesized now. Is there a problem, Captain? Jin shook his head. No problem. Just being thorough, as you said. As he left the medical bay, Jin's communicator vibrated once. A message from Hana. Storage Room 7. Now. Storage Room 7 was in a quiet part of the ship where few people went. When Jin arrived, Hana was waiting with a small, portable screen. What did you find? Jin asked without preamble. Hana's eyes were wide with urgency. You need to see this. She pulled up security footage from the previous day. It showed a line of soldiers entering the medical bay at regular intervals. Each one left exactly 15 minutes later. Watch what happens when they leave, Hana said. Jin leaned closer. The soldiers exited the medical bay walking normally. But once they were a few steps down the corridor, something changed. Their posture straightened. Their faces went blank. They moved with an unnatural precision. Now watch this, Hana said, switching to another camera feed. This one showed Dr. Lee in his private quarters. But he wasn't alone. There was someone else. With him, a shadowy figure that didn't quite look human. The image was blurry, as if the camera was having trouble focusing on it. What is that? Jin asked. I don't know, Hana said. But watch. The shadowy figure handed Dr. Lee a small case. When the doctor opened it, a blue glow lit his face. They couldn't hear what was said, but Dr. Lee nodded repeatedly, his manner deferential. There's more, Hana said grimly. I checked Dr. Lee's communications. He's been sending encrypted messages outside the ship. I can't crack the encryption, but the destination is concerning. She pulled up a star chart. The message destination was near the edge of Zelnar territory. Jin felt the pieces clicking together. Our mission is to raid a Zelnar station. Hana nodded. A station that supposedly has information about a new Zelnar weapon. But what if there is no weapon? Jin said, his mind racing. What if this whole mission is a setup? What if our own soldiers are the weapon? I thought of that, Hana said. So I did some digging on Dr. Lee's background. She showed Jin another screen. It was Dr. Lee's personnel file, but with red flags highlighting inconsistencies. Dr. Park didn't retire, Hana said. He was reassigned suddenly, and 3 of Dr. Lee's references don't exist. The medical school records look real, but when I called the school directly, they had no record of him. Jin's hand moved to his sidearm. So, he's an imposter. And he's done something to our soldiers, Hana added. Something that changed them, made them compliant. They both knew what this meant. Someone, likely the Zelnar, had infiltrated their ship, had compromised their mission, had turned their own soldiers into puppets. We have less than 10 hours to fix this, Jin said. We need help. Finding someone they could trust wasn't easy. The entire assault team was compromised. The admiral might be too. In the end, they decided on Mina Song, the ship's communications officer. Mina had a background in neuropsychology before joining the military. More importantly, she hadn't been in the briefing room. She hadn't been part of the pre-mission medical checks. And Jin had known her for years. They met her in the ship's small observatory, a dome-shaped room where off-duty crew could look at the stars. It was empty this late in the ship's night cycle. Let me get this straight, Mina said, after they explained. You think our new doctor is an alien spy who has mind-controlled our assault team for a mission tomorrow? I know how it sounds, Jin said. Like something from a bad sci-fi story, Mina said with a snort. Then her face grew serious. But I've known you both too long to think you'd make this up. She thought for a moment. If he used a neurotransmitter-based agent, there might be a way to counter it. I'd need to know exactly what he used. Can you get that information? Hana asked. Mina nodded. I think so. I can request access to the medical systems for a routine communications check. No one questions comm officers doing system diagnostics. Jin checked the time. We have 9 hours. If we can find out what he used and create a counteragent, we might be able to help our people. And if we can't? Hana asked. Jin's face hardened. Then we stop them another way. While Mina worked on accessing the medical system, Jin and Hana monitored the assault team from a distance. The soldiers were in the ship's training room, performing combat drills with mechanical precision. Too much precision. They moved like robots, not humans. Even if we can't help them in time, Hana said, we need to warn someone about the Zelnar infiltration. Jin nodded. But who can we trust? If this plot goes as deep as I think it does, Commander Yoon, Hana suggested. He's on leave at Lunar Base Alpha. We can send him an encrypted message through personal channels. Jin thought about it. Yoon was solid, trustworthy, and far enough away to be safe from whatever was happening here. Do it, he said. Use the old encryption from the Centauri mission. Only Yoon would recognize it. Hana moved to a communication terminal and began typing. Jin continued watching the soldiers through the observation window. These were his people, his responsibility. And something terrible had been done to them. His communicator beeped. Mina. I've got it. Her voice came through, low and urgent. I know what Dr. Lee did to them, and it's worse than we thought. How much worse? Jin asked. The serum doesn't just make them compliant, Mina said. It sets up a delayed trigger. When they reach the Zelnar station, something will activate inside their minds. They'll become what? Jin demanded when she paused. Assassins, Mina said. They're programmed to kill the station commander and then themselves. It would look like a human terrorist attack. An excuse for war, Hana whispered. Jin closed his eyes briefly. Then his resolve hardened. Can you counter it? He asked Mina. I think so, she replied. But I'll need time, and access to the ship's chemical synthesizer. You've got 7 hours, Jin said. Make it work. As he cut the connection, Jin looked again at his soldiers, at the blank faces of men and women he'd fought beside for years. The Zelnar had done this, had violated their minds, had turned them into weapons. They'll pay for this, he promised quietly. Beside him, Hana checked her weapon. Yes, she agreed. They will. The ship's lab was small but well-equipped. Mina hunched over a workstation, her eyes fixed on the screen in front of her. Data scrolled past, chemical formulas and brain scans flashing by. Jin paced behind her, checking the time every few minutes. 6 hours until launch. 6 hours to save 30 soldiers from becoming unwilling murderers. Can you explain it to me again? Jin asked. What exactly did he do to them? Mina didn't look up from her work. From what I can tell, the serum contains nanobots, tiny machines that attach to certain parts of the brain. Right now they're suppressing emotions, independent thought, free will, making the soldiers obedient. And when they reach the station? Hana asked from her position by the door. She was keeping watch, making sure no one interrupted them. There's a trigger chemical, Mina said. Something on the station will release it, maybe in the air system. When the nanobots detect this chemical, they'll switch to phase 2. The killing, Jin said grimly. Mina nodded. They'll become violent, focused only on reaching and killing the station commander, then themselves. Jin slammed his fist against the wall. Perfect for the Zelnar, a human terror attack they can use as an excuse for war. Hana's face was pale but determined. We need to stop it. Can you make something to counter the nanobots? Mina bit her lip. Maybe. I'm designing something that might deactivate them. But I need more time. Time is the one thing we don't have, Jin said. What about Dr. Lee? We need to deal with him too. First things first, Hana said. We save our people, then we deal with the spy. Jin nodded, but his hand rested on his weapon. The thought of what had been done to his soldiers made his blood boil. But Hana was right. Saving them came first. 5 hours before launch, Jin's communicator beeped. A message from Commander Yoon. Message received. Sending help. Trust no one. On board. Possible deep infiltration. Deep infiltration, Jin muttered. What does that mean? Hana looked grim. It means Dr. Lee might not be the only one. The thought sent a chill through Jin. If there were more spies on board, who could they trust? Who was watching them right now? We need to move faster, he said. Mina, how close are you? I have a formula, she said. But we need to test it. If it's too strong, it could kill them instead of freeing them. Test it on me, Jin said without hesitation. Both women stared at him. No, Hana said firmly. We can't risk. We don't have time to argue, Jin cut her off. I need to know if it works. Give me a small dose of the serum first, then the counteragent. Mina looked uncertain. Captain, this is dangerous. The serum was designed for controlled use over 24 hours. Taking it all at once. Do it, Jin ordered. That's a direct command officer song. Mina hesitated, then nodded. Yes, sir. She prepared 2 injections, one with a diluted version of Dr. Lee's serum, another with her counteragent. Jin sat in a chair, rolling up his sleeve. If this goes wrong, he told Hana, get our people clear, whatever it takes. Hana wanted to argue, but she knew that look in his eyes. Instead, she squeezed his shoulder once. Don't die, Captain. That's an order. Jin managed a small smile. Yes, Lieutenant. The first injection burned like fire in his veins. Almost immediately, Jin felt a strange calm settle over him. His thoughts became simpler, clearer. The worry and anger faded away, replaced by a cool, empty feeling. Distantly, he could hear Hana calling his name, but it didn't matter. Nothing mattered except waiting for orders. Following instructions. Being a good soldier. Jin. Hana's voice seemed to come from far away. Jin, can you hear? Me? He turned to look at her. Her face showed emotion. Worry. Fear. How strange. Why would anyone feel such things? It was so much better to be calm. To be empty. Yes, he said, his voice flat. I hear you. Mina and Hana exchanged worried glances. It worked, Mina whispered. The serum worked on him just like the others. Give him the counteragent, Hana urged. Now. Mina quickly administered the second injection. For a long moment, nothing happened. Jin sat perfectly still, his eyes vacant, his face expressionless. Then he gasped, doubling over as if in pain. His body shook. Sweat broke out on his forehead. Jin. Hana moved to help him, but Mina held her back. Wait, Mina said. It has to run its course. For nearly a minute, Jin trembled and gasped. Then slowly he straightened up, blinked several times, looked around the room. That, he said hoarsely, was not pleasant. Relief flooded Hana's face. Are you okay? Jin nodded, though he looked pale. It was like being trapped in my own head. I could see and hear everything, but I couldn't feel anything about it. No anger, no fear, just nothing. But the counteragent worked? Mina pressed. Jin took a deep breath. Yes, it felt like waking up from a strange dream. Mina smiled for the first time in hours. Then we can help the others. 4 hours before launch, they had a plan. The counteragent needed to be administered directly. They couldn't risk putting it in the air system where Dr. Lee might detect it. That meant they needed to reach each soldier individually. We'll split up, Jin said. Mina, prepare enough. Doses for everyone. Hana and I will deliver them. What about Dr. Lee? Hana asked. And any other spies on board? Jin's face hardened. I'll deal with the doctor. You focus on helping as many soldiers as you can. How do we administer the counteragent without them realizing? Mina asked. In their current state, they'll report any unusual activity. Jin thought for a moment. We tell them it's a mission update, a final injection to enhance the serum's effects. They're programmed to follow orders, so they'll accept it. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was the best they had. As Mina prepared the doses, Jin checked his weapon again. "Be careful with Dr. Lee," Hana warned. "We still don't know exactly what he is." Jin nodded. "I'll be ready for anything." But even as he said it, he wondered if that was true. The Zelnar were known for their advanced technology, their cunning. If Dr. Lee wasn't human, what was he? And what other surprises might he have waiting? 3 hours until launch. Time was running out. Jin approached the medical bay alone. His weapon was holstered but ready. The counter-agent had cleared his mind, but his body still felt weak from the experience. He would have to be quick and decisive. The medical bay doors opened. Inside, Dr. Lee was packing equipment into a case. He looked up, his perfect smile appearing instantly. "Captain Jin, back so soon?" "Just a few questions before the mission, Doctor," Jin said, keeping his voice neutral. He stepped inside, letting the doors close behind him. Dr. Lee's smile didn't waver, but something changed in his eyes, a coldness, a calculation. "Of course, how can I help?" Jin moved closer, his hand near his weapon. "You can start by telling me who you really are, and what you did to my soldiers." For a moment, Dr. Lee's smile remained fixed. Then it slowly widened, becoming something inhuman. "Captain Jin," he said, his voice changing, becoming deeper, more resonant. "You really should have just followed orders like the others." Jin drew his weapon, but Dr. Lee moved with impossible speed. His hand shot out, catching Jin's wrist in a grip that felt like steel. "Did you really think," Dr. Lee said, his face beginning to shift and change, "that you could stop what's already begun?" Jin stared in horror as the man before him transformed. Dr. Lee's skin rippled and changed color, becoming a pale, iridescent blue. His body stretched, growing taller. 2 extra arms emerged from his sides. Jin was face to face with a Zelnar infiltrator, and he was completely unprepared for what happened next. The Zelnar's grip tightened around Jin's wrist. Pain shot up his arm as his weapon clattered to the floor. "I've studied humans for years," the creature said, its voice vibrating strangely. "Such emotional, unpredictable beings. So unlike us. Did you know that's why we fear you?" Jin struggled but couldn't break free. The alien was incredibly strong. "We don't want your worlds," the Zelnar continued. "We want you contained, controlled. Your species spreads like a disease across the stars." The alien's 4 arms were in constant motion now, reaching for tools on a nearby tray. Jin knew he had just seconds before the creature did something terrible to him. "You made one mistake," Jin said through gritted teeth. The Zelnar paused, curious. "And what was that, human?" "You made my soldiers too quiet." With his free hand, Jin grabbed a syringe from his pocket, one of Mina's counteragent doses, and drove it into the alien's arm. The Zelnar screamed, a high-pitched sound that hurt Jin's ears. Its grip loosened just enough for Jin to break free. He dove for his weapon. The alien staggered back, looking at the injection site with shock. "What did you do?" Jin aimed his weapon at the center of the Zelnar's chest. "The counteragent wasn't designed for your biology. I'm guessing it's not pleasant." The alien's skin was beginning to bubble and shift colors rapidly. "This changes nothing," it hissed. "The plan is already in motion. Your soldiers will complete their mission." "Not if I have anything to say about it," Jin replied. The Zelnar lunged forward with unexpected speed. Jin fired twice, hitting the alien in the chest. Blue liquid sprayed from the wounds, but the creature kept coming. All 4 arms reached for Jin. Jin ducked under the first grab and slammed the butt of his weapon into what he hoped was a sensitive part of the alien's anatomy. The Zelnar howled and doubled over. Jin didn't waste the opportunity. He brought his weapon down hard on the back of the alien's head. The Zelnar collapsed to the floor, blue fluid leaking from its wounds. It was still breathing, but unconscious. Jin quickly bound the creature with medical restraints, using twice as many as he would for a human. He injected it with a powerful sedative, then tapped his communicator. "Hana," he said, breathing hard. "Dr. Lee is secured. He's definitely not human." "Understood." Hana's voice came back. I've administered the counteragent to 10 soldiers so far. They're confused but back to normal. Working on the rest now. Be careful, Jin warned. Commander Yoon thinks there may be more infiltrators on board. Copy that. How much time do we have? Jin checked the clock. Just over 2 hours until launch. Keep going. I'll secure our friend here and join you. He ended the call and looked at the unconscious alien. They needed to keep it alive for questioning. And they needed to find out if there were more like it on the ship. 1 hour before launch, Jin met Hana in the ship's armory. Her face was flushed with success. 27 soldiers treated, she reported. They're in the mess hall, recovering. June's already making bad jokes again. Jin felt a wave of relief. What about the other 3? Hana's face fell. Can't find them. They were assigned to escort Admiral Kim to the launch bay early. Jin's stomach tightened. The Admiral, could he be another infiltrator? Hana finished the thought. It's possible. He was the one who approved Dr. Lee's transfer to the ship. And he's headed to the launch bay with 3 of our people who are still under Zelnar control, Jin said. We need to move. Now. They armed themselves quickly, taking extra weapons for the recovered soldiers. As they hurried through the corridors, Jin briefed Hana on his encounter with the Zelnar. It said they fear us, Jin said. That humans are unpredictable. They should be afraid, Hana replied grimly. Especially after what they tried to do to our people. In the mess hall, they found 27 very angry soldiers. Some looked sick from the after effects of the counteragent, but all were alert and eager for payback. Jin quickly explained the situation. The mission was a setup. The Zelnar wanted to use you as assassins to start a war. We don't know how. Many infiltrators are on board, but we suspect Admiral Kim may be one of them. The quiet briefing, June said, understanding dawning on his face. That's how you knew something was wrong. We're never quiet. Especially you, Tae added, punching June's arm. Jin nodded. I need a team to secure the bridge, another to check all critical systems for sabotage, and I need volunteers to help me stop whatever is happening in the launch bay. Every hand in the room went up. The launch bay was a massive space at the rear of the ship. The assault shuttle sat ready on the pad, its engines glowing with pre-launch warmth. Jin led a team of 10 soldiers through the maintenance access. They moved silently, weapons ready. Through the observation window, they could see Admiral Kim standing with 3 blank-faced soldiers near the shuttle. What's the plan, Captain? June whispered. Jin studied the scene. We need to secure those 3, without hurting them, and determine if the Admiral is human or not. And if he's not, Tae asked. Then we make him regret ever messing with our people, Jin said. They spread out, taking positions around the launch bay. Jin would approach from the front, drawing attention, while the others moved in from behind. He stepped through the door, weapon lowered but ready. Admiral, he called. We need to talk. Admiral Kim turned, surprise crossing his face. Captain Jin, why aren't you preparing for the mission? Jin walked closer, watching the Admiral's eyes. They looked human enough. The mission's been cancelled. Sir, we know about the Zelnar plan. The Admiral's expression shifted from surprise to confusion. What are you talking about? What Zelnar plan? Jin was just 10 steps away now. The 3 controlled soldiers stood motionless, awaiting orders. Dr. Lee has been arrested, Jin said, watching carefully for a reaction. He confessed everything. The Admiral's confusion seemed genuine. Captain, I think you've lost your mind. Dr. Lee is a respected officer, and this mission is vital to... He stopped mid-sentence as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Red emergency lights flashed. What have you done? The Admiral demanded. Jin's communicator beeped. Hana's voice came through, urgent. Jin, we've found explosives planted throughout the ship, set to detonate when the shuttle launched. And we've got another problem. The real Admiral Kim is locked in his quarters. The one you're talking to is... Jin didn't wait for her to finish. He raised his weapon and fired at the imposter. The false Admiral moved with inhuman speed, dodging the shot. His face contorted with rage. Now! Jin shouted. His soldiers burst from their hiding places, firing stun rounds at the three controlled humans. They dropped instantly. The false admiral's skin began to ripple and change, just as Dr. Lee's had done. But before the transformation could complete, 20 stun rounds hit him from all directions. The creature fell to the floor, its body half human, half Zelnar. Jin approached cautiously and injected it with a sedative. "Secure it," he ordered, "and get our people to the medical bay for treatment." The ship's alarms continued to blare. Jin activated his communicator. "Hana, status report." "We've secured the bridge," she replied. "Bomb squad is working on the explosives. 2 more Zelnar infiltrators found and contained. The real admiral is safe, though very angry." Jin allowed himself a small smile. "Tell him I'll file a full report as soon as this is over." "There's one more thing," Hana said. "We've intercepted communications from a Zelnar ship hiding on the dark side of the moon. They were waiting for the fireworks to start." Jin looked at the stunned Zelnar infiltrator being dragged away. "Well, they're going to be disappointed." He turned to his recovered soldiers. They were tired, angry, and had just survived having their minds taken over by an alien force. But they were themselves again. Human. Unpredictable. Free. "The Zelnar wanted to start a war," Jin said. "I think it's time we showed them why that was a very bad idea." The real Admiral Kim was a short man with gray hair and a fierce temper. Right now that temper was on full display as he paced the bridge of the ship. "Let me get this straight," he said, his voice tight with anger. "The Zelnar replaced my doctor, copied me, mind-controlled my soldiers and planned to blow up my ship, all to start a war?" "Yes, sir," Jin said. "And they have a ship waiting nearby to witness it all." The Admiral's face turned a deeper shade of red. "And you discovered this because the briefing room was too quiet?" Jin nodded. "Human soldiers are never that quiet, sir. Especially not before a dangerous mission." The Admiral stopped pacing and looked at Jin with new respect. "Good catch, Captain. Now what do we do about that Zelnar ship?" Jin had been thinking about this. "They don't know we've discovered their plot. They're waiting for our shuttle to launch, for the explosions to start. I say we give them a show, just not the one they're expecting." A slow smile spread across the Admiral's face. "What did you have in mind?" 30 minutes later, Jin stood in the launch bay with 20 fully armed and very motivated soldiers. All had recovered from the mind control, and all wanted payback. The plan was simple but effective. They would launch the shuttle as scheduled, but instead of the programmed assassins, it would carry Jin and his team. Meanwhile, the ship would send false signals indicating internal explosions, as if the Zelnar plan was working. When the Zelnar ship came to investigate the destroyed human vessel, they would find themselves facing an intact warship and a very angry crew. "Everybody clear on the plan?" Jin asked his team. Jun raised his hand. "Just to confirm, we get to shoot actual Zelnar today, right? The ones who messed with our heads?" "If all goes well," Jin replied. "Yes." "Then I'm clear," Jun said with a grim smile. Tay checked his weapon for the 3rd time. "I just want to know one thing. How do they control their extra arms? Do they have extra brains? Because that would explain a lot about their strategy." Even in this tense moment, several soldiers laughed. Jin smiled too. This was what he had missed: the questions, the jokes, the humanity of his team. "Save the scientific curiosity for after we capture them," Jin said. "For now, focus on the mission." They boarded the shuttle. Unlike the original plan, they weren't wearing specialized suits for spacewalking. They were in full combat armor, carrying heavy weapons. This wasn't going to be a covert operation. As the shuttle doors closed, Jin looked at his team. Their faces showed a mix of emotions: anger, determination, even a touch of fear. But these were human expressions. Real feelings, not the blank stares from the briefing room. "Remember," Jin said, "we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every human who would die in a war with the Zelnar. We stop this here today." The shuttle engines fired up. Launch countdown began. From the bridge of the human ship, Admiral Kim and Lieutenant Hana watched the shuttle depart. As soon as it was clear, Hana activated the false emergency signals. To any watching eyes, it would appear that explosions were ripping through the ship. "Calm silence now," the admiral ordered. "Let them think we're dead." The ship went dark, running on minimal power. They drifted, apparently lifeless, waiting for the Zelnar to take the bait. They didn't have to wait long. Within 20 minutes, sensors detected a ship leaving the dark side of the moon and heading toward them. "That's it," Hana whispered. "The Zelnar observer," the admiral nodded. "Maintain silence, let's see what they do." The Zelnar ship approached cautiously. It was larger than expected, a sleek vessel with strange blue lights along its hull. It circled the damaged human ship once, then moved closer. "They're scanning us," Hana reported, keeping her voice low, even though the Zelnar couldn't possibly hear her. The admiral smiled. "Good. Let them get nice and close." Inside the shuttle, Jin and his team watched the Zelnar ship approach the main vessel. Everything was going according to plan. "They took the bait," Jin said. "Get ready. When they're fully engaged with the main ship, we'll swing around and hit them from behind." The shuttle's pilot, a young woman named Sue, guided them in a wide arc. They had shut down all non-essential systems to avoid detection. The Zelnar were focused on what they thought was a destroyed human ship. They didn't notice the small shuttle circling back. "Weapons hot," Jin ordered. "Aim for their engines and communication array. We want to disable, not destroy." 20 weapons powered up. The soldiers moved with perfect coordination. Not the robotic precision of mind control, but the smooth teamwork of a unit that had trained together for years. "For what they did to us," June said quietly. "For what they tried to make us do," Tay added. Jin nodded. "On my mark." On the bridge, Admiral Kim watched the Zelnar ship move into position directly above them. They were preparing to dock, probably to verify the destruction and collect evidence for their war narrative. "Now," the admiral ordered. Hana slammed her hand down on the control panel. All systems surged back to life. Lights blazed. Weapons powered up. The ship's engines roared as they maneuvered to trap the Zelnar vessel. At the same moment, Jin's shuttle appeared behind the Zelnar ship. Caught by surprise, the aliens had no time to react before both human vessels opened fire. Precise shots disabled the Zelnar engines. More targeted their weapon systems and communications array. Within seconds, the alien ship was floating helpless between the two human vessels. "Zelnar ship," Admiral Kim broadcast on all frequencies. "You are surrounded and disabled. Prepare to be boarded." The boarding was quick and efficient. The Zelnar crew, just 12 individuals, surrendered without a fight. They seemed shocked to find themselves facing humans who were very much alive and extremely angry. Jin led the boarding party. When they reached the Zelnar bridge, he came face to face with their commander, a tall, four-armed figure with pale blue skin. "How?" the Zelnar demanded. "Our plan was perfect." Jin smiled coldly. "Your mistake was trying to make humans predictable. We noticed something was wrong because our soldiers were too quiet." The alien's eyes widened in disbelief. "You discovered our entire operation because of noise?" "Because of humanity," Jin corrected. "You tried to take that away from us. Big mistake." 2 days later, Jin stood in the observation deck looking out at the stars. The Zelnar plot had been exposed to the Galactic Council. Their captured infiltrators and the crew of their ship provided all the evidence needed. Instead of starting a war, the Zelnar had damaged their own standing in galactic politics. Hana joined him by the window. "Admiral Kim says you're getting a commendation," Jin shrugged. "I was just doing my job." Noticing that a room full of soldiers was too quiet? "That's not in any training manual I've ever read." Jin smiled. "Maybe it should be." From behind them came the sound of loud arguing. June and Tay were debating who had disabled more systems on the Zelnar ship. Their voices carried across the observation deck, joined by others as more soldiers took sides in the friendly dispute. "You know," Hana said, "I never thought I'd be so happy to hear people being noisy." Jin nodded, listening to the wonderful chaos of human voices. "It's the sound of freedom, of people making their own choices, having their own thoughts." The sound of humanity, Hana agreed. In the distance, the Zelnar ship was being towed away by a Galactic Council vessel. Its crew and the infiltrators would face justice for their attempted deception. Jin thought about what the Zelnar had said, that they feared humans because they were unpredictable. They had tried to control what they feared, to make humans more like themselves, but they had failed to understand a fundamental truth. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in being controllable or predictable. It was in being diverse, adaptive, and free-thinking. It was in noticing when a room full of soldiers was too quiet during a battle briefing, and that had been the Zelnar's first red flag. The end.